Hi everyone. Unbelievably, week one is done already. I wanted to say thank you to you all for a great first week. There were so many people who made an effort to post an introduction, and lots of people have engaged with the activities on the discussion board. A special shout out to those who've been engaging with other people in the unit also. Just a quick word about the importance of collaboration. I know that sometimes, especially when you're busy, it seems easier just to do the activities on your own and not bother posting them on the discussion board. I'd really encourage you not to do this. Apart from the fact that working alone can be really isolating and make study feel even more overwhelming, posting on the discussion board will allow you to get feedback on your thoughts and on your writing, and this will help you be successful at assessment time. John Hattie is an educational expert in evidence-based learning. He's done an enormous amount of work pulling together thousands of research findings from across the world, trying to find which teaching strategies have the largest effect size when it comes to learning and successful outcomes. Feedback is actually in his top three, and it would be a shame if you missed out on your opportunity to get feedback when it's right there, ready for you to take advantage of. If you want to know more about John Hattie, I'll post the details of an easy-to-read book that he's written in the thread with this video. Okay, let's have a bit of a look at this week. Week 2 is an important one. We're going to unpack 6 theoretical perspectives and see how they're connected to the idea of nature and nurture. In this screencast, I want to spend a bit of time talking about nature and nurture and also about those theoretical perspectives. I love this cartoon here. I couldn't resist putting it in. First, let's have a bit of a think about nature and nurture. In the first assessment, we'll be asking you to think about nature and nurture in relation to language development and theoretical perspectives. Nature's a word that could trick you if you aren't careful, because when we think of nature, we think of plants and environments. In this context of language development, nature is actually talking about the genetics and innate traits that are predetermined at birth. Nurture is talking about the care and the input of people and the environment being home and school and that sort of thing. Also, just to confuse things, things can be social in nature, meaning that they have characteristics of social behaviour. Before we have a look at some of the theoretical perspectives introduced this week, there's another important distinction to make. So a theory is something that someone thinks might be the case. A theoretical perspective is an assumption of a principle or method and an interpretation of what we know and observe about a certain theory. A theorist is the person who came up with or believes the theory. For example, Vygotsky is a theorist who believed that the theory of language acquisition was both social and biological in nature. This is encompassed by the social interactionist theory, which believes that children are born with a biological capability to learn and acquire language, and that these skills are developed through scaffolding from adults. That's the theoretical perspective, the social interactionist theoretical perspective. It's important to know this because in your essay, we're not asking you to talk about theorists such as Vygotsky and Skinner and Chomsky. We're asking you to talk about language development in terms of theoretical perspectives that might apply, such as the behaviourist theory or the nativist theory. Okay, let's have a bit of a look at some of these theoretical perspectives. As I'm talking, think about whether you think that these perspectives are nature, nurture, or whether they might actually both apply. The behaviourist perspective is the theory of a man called Skinner. He talks about 2 terms, operant conditioning and classical conditioning. When talking about operant conditioning, he's talking about expressive language. That is the ability to talk and express what you want. Children do this through imitating, experimenting with the sounds that they hear, and positive reinforcement, such as praise, positive body language, and successful communication. When he talks about classical conditioning, he's talking about receptive language. That is, the ability to take in and understand language when you hear it. An example of this is associating objects or actions with words because of the environment. That is, the people around you providing the opportunity for it. The nativist perspective is the theory of a man called Chomsky. Chomsky believed that the brain is structured to acquire language. This is because of the brain's ability to create and understand grammatical rules. He even had a name for it, Language Acquisition Device, or LAD. You can read more about this on page 49 of the e-text. The maturational perspective puts forward the idea that children need to be biologically ready for learning, that they have an inner clock, and that we need to let language development occur naturally with as little interference as possible. The cognitive development perspective is that of the theorist Jean Piaget. He believed that language development occurs at the same time as cognitive development, and it's developed through activity. Cognition is the process of acquiring knowledge and understanding through thought, experience, and senses. So cognitive development is the process of learning through thoughts, experience, and senses. Piaget believed that language developed as children experienced these things. The example given in the e-text to explain this is, it would be impossible for a child to learn the word doggy and use it appropriately unless they had the concept of what a dog is. And the concept of what a dog is develops through experience. He also believed that there were several stages of cognitive development, and you can read more about these starting on page 50. The social interactionist perspective was the theory of a theorist, Bruner. It emphasises the importance of social interactions between children and significant people in their environment as being key to the development of language development. He proposed that a language acquisition support system, or LASS, helps children to learn language, the people in the child's environment being the support system for language acquisition. He talks about an important word, that is scaffolding. Scaffolding is at the heart of what we do to help children learn. It involves an adult or a more knowledgeable person providing support and guidance, which enables a child to do something that's slightly too difficult, something that they couldn't do without support. Vygotsky, another theorist, calls this the zone of proximal development. Then there's the neurobiological perspective. Due to the ability to scan the brain now and analyse its workings, neurobiologists attribute language development to the structure of the brain. They believe that the brain is hardwired to learn language, but effective language learning also depends on substantial social interaction. I want you to have a look out on the board this week for an activity about nature, nurture, and these theoretical perspectives. Finally this week, we're also going to spend some time talking about referencing and paraphrasing and how to cite materials so that you can avoid plagiarism. It's a tricky but essential skill, and this week we're going to try and help you get your head around that. It's going to be another busy week. Don't forget about the Collaborate session on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, so that's Melbourne time. We'll go through the assessment in great depth, including referencing, which I know that some people are really concerned about. I hope to see you all on Monday and looking forward to reading your work on the discussion board. Thanks, everyone.